I would say, no, at home we do this. One of the very foolish things. One day I was looking for addresses, and I was looking for MSP, something similar to MSP directory, and I couldn't find it. And I was mad with the whole country. You know, just something so simple to trigger off your anger and your frustration, but it's just a mechanism. The frustration is just in you trying to translate, you know. Of course, you feel useless and powerless sometimes. That's part of the crisis, you know. I'm not saying that this is all your years, but it's part of it, you know. Especially, you know, if you are coming from Nigeria as a religious, you are put on the pedestal, if you are a priest, higher pedestal, yes. And you go there, nobody really cares, and they tell you, I'm innocent. And they just like that. And they say, nobody remembers their father innocent, excuse me. And that's a reality. And you know, and I remember even the worst thing, you see, coming from my culture, that time, I mean, I'm not a lot better now. We greet kneeling down the elder, and there was this, I used to work with children the first few months, and this little one came and said, "Go there, that's the rudest thing to say, what's your name?" I said, "My name is Anna." He said, "How old are you?" In my culture, a young person must never ask another her age. So I said, at that time, I told her, "What's your mother's name?" I later got to know that that is a way of familiarizing themselves. But at that moment, I went to and I wasn't it. I said, "Can you imagine the height of the disgrace and humiliation that this 6-year-old asked me my name, my age, a complete interview in 2 minutes?" And that was just a way of getting to know me. And she became one of my best friends because when she sees me pass, she said, "Anna, did you hear from your mother Elizabeth?" I said, "Yes, I did." But it was a way of familiarizing herself with me. You know, but at that point when she did it, I thought that was a terrible rudeness, you know, as I called it in those days. And of course, you are caring for the familiar. I tell you one thing I used to do, it might not be advisable, that I tell you is not always the best thing. Transition has a lot. I had to learn the new language. I started working a month after arriving and all, and I remember that my head just couldn't take it. And I used to daydream a lot. I just close my eyes and go back home for a few minutes and enjoy that. And then when I come back, you think I was listening to you, I say, "Okay, you can start with me." But that used to revive me. I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm just confirming that you yearn for the familiar. It's natural. And you know, sometimes you could do it, you know, by looking at the photos. You see most of us, we decorate our corner with photos of all those we love and we miss. And some of us, we don't ever throw letters away. We start them and we reach them, we reach them, we reach them. You know, it's all yearning for that familiar. You know, want to hold on to something you new. That's part of transition. Of course, because of the change in food, change in weather, you are sick, you are tired. Because of all the efforts you make, you are more tired than you normally would be. You know, if you normally maybe at home you could go on for 8 hours, but when you are in the weather and the food that is different, of course you get more tired. We'll come back to that with the tips and the health issue. Of course, you focus on your own needs. You forget you are a missionary. You just want some comfort for yourself, you know, and you start. Sometimes people can exaggerate things and become really over self-centered, you know. Everything must be good, everything must be in order, and they say, "I need that space for myself." I pray you get it, but I don't promise you. I don't promise you that always, you know. But you have to walk through your own needs, and maybe if you get a spiritual direction, if it is possible, it's a great help. So that you can sort out your own needs and you don't overpower you. We'll be dealing with that on another issue. Over-dependency. You know, some of us say our childhood traits start coming out. You over-depend either on a superior superior, on a friend. It could even be on a phone call. There is a particular phone call. If it doesn't come, the whole week is thrown into trauma. Because, you know, you are already in crisis and you just need to hang on to something. And it could be a sister that has shown you some kindness in your community. And when we do this, especially with lay volunteers who have less experience about dealing with feelings, it's a very good time to fall in love, I tell you. Because you are so vulnerable. And so when somebody shows you some kind of nice, hearing, understanding, you are totally taken. It could be the obvious person in the world, it doesn't matter. But that care, what you need, is what the person is suffering at this time. It's also a trait of that time, of that stage. And as I said, it doesn't mean the very first month you get it. It will be 5 years after. It's all intermingled. But it's good to recognize it. That are you really loving this person? Or am I just looking for shelter and dependency and protection and care? Of course, you lash out, you blame others for things that don't work out. Why didn't the superiors know that this mission will never work out? Why did they ever work on this community? I said that before. And I buy back my word. My sister here knows that now I defend Argentina in session like my life. But when I was there, I said, oh God, we didn't know what to do with Missionary. Look at where we have found ourselves. Because it was a difficult stage for us as a congregation to as a vision. So you lash out to others, you look at who is to be blamed, you know. Your superior, your parents, your bishop, whoever. Withdraw from people and silence, especially those who are not quiet, you know. We just shut ourselves up, we get some nice logos. Now the world of CD, DVD, just lock up yourself and you do something to make you forget all this trauma. That's also a sign of Christ. Don't let us judge when it's happening. We could see it even happening to one of our sisters or myself, but let us just identify it so that we can manage it. It's all in your notes. Now, recovery, I put a picture there of miracle. I was acting with we used to do street acting. This was a basic Christian community. And we used to go about to act the gospel message. Because people will not read otherwise. So we started acting. So this is one of my big stages of recovery. Because I used to play dummy before then I could talk and play a part. So it was part of the recovery stage, and of course this is just a season there. And you begin to feel at home. You begin to enjoy the joke of the people. That is actually a breakthrough. The day you can laugh at the joke others are making, and really laugh, not that you are saying, and they say, you understand, you say, but you can really enjoy the joke and laugh from here. That is a sign that you are recovering from the shock, you know. And you see, where I was, they are very quick, they are very witty people. So even most of the jokes are not standard jokes. They are jokes that they cook up as it happens. And it was great. When I felt a great freedom when I could throw my joke in the middle of other jokes. And that was a great freedom for me. So one of the ways of really doing that is that, you know, when you really kind of understand and laugh at yourself, laugh at the people, and laugh together with the people, that means you are arriving. And you develop a kind of respect for the culture, that you are now not judging it. And I tell you that for me, one of the most consoling things is that when I talked of the area I work in, I said, you know, in our place, this is how we do it. And from other parts of the country where I used to go and do workshops, they identified me with that place. They used to call me Ana la Cordobesa. Cordoba is the place. So like they identified me with Cordoba, and they said that even my Spanish had a Cordoba accent. So I used to feel very at home and protect that culture and feel at home with it. And I see that with a lot of our Irish missionaries too. When we go back to Ireland, those of us who have Irish roots, on the table in Black Rock Road, the SMA house, you have the Midwesterners, you have the Lagos group, You have the Northerners, and I'm sure if you go to the Puritans too, you have them from where they have worked. They have so identified with the people that it becomes their part of their identity. You respect and protect that particular culture as your own. In fact, sometimes you love it more than your own because it's something that's a new birth for you. So that is part of recovery, when you start feeling with that culture. And I remember that our parish priest used to say it a lot, that, you are just one of these women in the area. I say, yes, I agree, because I asked, and we started really, working together. And you are happy to waste time with the people. Before, when I heard of birthdays or anything in that area, it used to be a real effort for me. But at a stage, I just remember that I just swing into it, It wasn't an effort to enjoy what the people enjoyed. But initially, don't worry, it's going to be an effort. Even if they think it is the best thing, because it's not what you're familiar with, you don't like it. But give yourself time. You will gradually enjoy what you enjoy. That's in recovery. In adaptation, which might never come, but which I hope will come. It is characterized, it's very small, don't worry, because the girl who did it for me just wrote it. You accept, I have it in the note. And that is, it's part of what I've said, it's what you initiate at recovery stage. So, you just start, you collect things to take home, you see yourself saying, this will be beautiful, this is one of my own symbols of adaptation. It's a symbol of my crisis. You will see it a lot during the week. Because it is separate with me now. Msgr knows that. In the office, any day I'm very stressed in the office, I make my concoction. It is herb we put here, and we put hot water. It is called mate. It is a symbol of hospitality and communion in Argentina. It is like tea, as you will have tea, as you will have water or palm wine. In every home in Argentina, this is your welcome. And the poorer they are, the more dependent they are on this. And during the crisis, I was there in the years of the crisis of 2000, 2001. For most people, this was their food in the area where we lived. And I used to go on camping a lot with the young people. With this, we could go on for days. And I remember initially, I used to throw up people thinking of it. Because you put it, and you see, another, they put, and they give you see. And you keep sipping round and round. And even if this were an Argentine class, this would have been going around all the time. And it's beautiful because you don't sleep, you fight for it, it's real life. But I can say that now, but initially I said, number one, they put everyone the same one in their mouth. I used to say that. They still do it now. Up till today, and tomorrow, and forever, we continue to do it. And it's just us. And somehow, I don't know. I don't even think of disease now when I'm doing it. I'm sorry. But it is. And I remember that when we used to go with the young people for popular mission, you will see these women, we used to go to the interior and I have no teeth and everything. And they would for you. And they say, hey, Marita. Hey, Marita is little sister. And I remember I would do like this. Yes, ma'am. And I got to a stage, really, I remember I just prayed to God about it. I said, God, help me, because in the area where I was living, maybe you could escape it if you are living in the big city, in the upper middle class. But where I was, really, if you don't drink mate, you are really cutting yourself a lot from the people. And really, I saw it as an essential, so I just told God, I said, you said you shall walk on scorpions or snakes. I know this is my own scorpion and snake. And please come and do something. And really, it got to a stage, I forgot that I even had a repulsion to it. When I was in London for the 2 years, 5 times Argentinians came to see me, and they knew that what they could not do without bringing in is the help to go beside it. Because they know I love it so much. And they wrote articles about it, they put it on the television. They see me, if you see most of my photos in Argentina, you see me holding this all around the place. And I'm bringing and I'm giving it and I'm sharing it. It just became part of me over time. But that for me was beginning to feel at home with the culture. And it will be different thing for others. And I remember each time I wanted to come home, I will now start telling myself about a week before, and you are going back home, there will be no matter, there will be no kissing. Now, just no kissing in the sense of pecking and greeting. Because if I arrive in Nigeria and I start saying, good morning, then you say this one is mine. And occasionally it used to happen to me the first few weeks. And then I say, and remember, surely here. But it became so much part of me that it became an effort to step out of it. That is part of adaptation. It's part of it, it's not the whole thing. For others, it's just the ability to be. That is the adaptation. To be themselves within that culture. And one thing I always remember, and I tell myself and I tell my friends who are close to me there, I love the culture because I can never be an Argentinian. I want to be in Nigeria. Look at me. I didn't need adaptation back to Nigeria. This is my own. This is my blood. So even when I am Argentinian there, I am an Argentinian in the best I could be as an African. It is always good to remember who you are essentially. And it's not as if you are holding on to it, but it is being true to yourself. It's just a fact. You try to learn and, get the richness of others, but who you are is who you are. And I always remember a Jesuit who worked for over 40 years in Taiwan. He's still there. He's from Cordoba. Cordoba people are very cultural conscious. And he said he has not lost his being a Cordobesa, but he has added being a Taiwanese to it. And I think that is just beautiful. That essentially we will not lose who we are. We can only enrich it by taking on more beautiful things from others, because we are not the only ones who have nice things. Others have. And it's nice to know that. Now, some of the practical things. Eat well, sleep well. Please. It is essential. It's all in the notes. Eat well, sleep well, because you need it. Be prudent with your eating, don't take adventures until you are sure you can take it. Don't take on unwise adventures. Some people are more delicate than the other, and some of us can eat stones and keep going. But just be careful without being over delicate. Just to be careful, Identify the stages and the support you need to move on. It's good to know what's happening to you. That's why you have to take time for reflection. When we do spirituality, I will give you sheets on how to monitor your own inner movement. Just to know, what's happening to me. It could become part of you, just to be able to articulate to yourself what's going on with you. And once you identify it, you don't panic there. You know that it's not the end of the world, that you are a bit snappy. Continue going through that stage and finish, it will pass. Then I won't panic, And they get the support needed. If you need to talk to somebody, if you need to straighten out an issue, if you need to clarify, if you need to identify, you know what is happening, and then devise a strategy to deal with it, Be honest with yourself. Don't take yourself to be superhumans, especially our men, You think we'll finish to do it all, It's a bit of our ego at work, want to do it all. And then it's good to recognize our own limitations. And can share it with somebody. I'm saying especially our men. And it's not because I mean to divide, but men are not good at handling feelings. This is not your fault. It is the way you are made. Or verbalizing feelings. Women, it's easy for us to cry, it's easy for us to share with somebody. Easier, not easy, but it's a little easier from the way we are made. Men is like, it's a bit more difficult for them, and also when they are Nigerian men, it's a bit more difficult for them either to verbalize their feelings, to even acknowledge them to start with. It's like the harder we are, the better macho man we are. But it's not always helpful, because when we see the different faces of Jesus, those of you have done the enneagram, it's also good to know that we are weak and vulnerable, and that's part of us. Learn as much as you can about the people and the culture. We are not great about that in Nigeria, I must say. My people there in Argentina, they overdo it. They learn everything about it. But we don't even know who we are, not talk of learning about the other people. You know, to learn about the program I did, in that was in our preparation, they really took time to teach us about the Latin American geography, history, their evangelization, their concepts of God. Learn as much as you can about it. If they are sending you to the Bantu, get a book about the Bantus and read about them. What is their history? What's their origin? What do they believe in? If they are sending you to the English people, when we are doing about Nigeria, go and learn about the English people. Don't carry the concept you have about the English people that they taught you in your history class to carry to England to do mission with England. Learn about the England of today. Learn about the reality. Read their news, read their newspapers. Learn as much as you can. Avoid making comparisons. At the initial stage, I must tell you, it's natural to make comparisons, because you pack from what you know, you say, at home we believe this way, at home we do. But you know that you have to move away from that. You have to take this as it is. And, you know, I have a nice poem about nostalgia. Nostalgia is what you want and kind of get because it has gone. And by the time we are having nostalgia of this one, it would have been gone as well. And we wouldn't have lived it. Isn't it a shame? So it's better to deal with this one now, so that when we are having nostalgia of it, we have something to look back at, you know. Laugh at yourself, keep things in perspective, because the tendency is to exaggerate, you know. Both feelings, images, people, exaggerate emotions. It's part of the crisis and transition. Write letters in journal, read a book. I don't know your own method, but one of the things that helped me was my journal. I had a very good journal and I kept it. And I still keep it today. There are times I don't write it every day, but I know that at least every week I write 2 times. It helped me to be in touch with my own feelings, to reflect on my experiences. A journal is not a diary. I know again, men are not great with this kind of things, but it helps you to be in touch with what is going on. So things don't just happen, and it's only years after, you know, you become aware that it even happened. It will be good to see your own, you know, life of spiritual journey, your own style. You have different styles. Savor the good moments and thank God for the signs of hope and encouragement. Learn to enjoy. I mean, if they have good mountains to enjoy that. Because tomorrow you might have, if they have good weather, enjoy it. If they have good food, enjoy it. If it's good music and whatever is there also that is part of good things there, make use of it, because God has put that also in your path. Even though sometimes you might not see the good things. A friend of mine wrote this, you know, because she took it from something that I felt child. She said, I wanted to turn back time, somehow to pitch myself to wake up and be back out there again. She had been and she came back. But this time I knew it was not possible. My time was up. My feet wouldn't do as much as they were told. I wanted to stop and stay put. I knew I wasn't ready to go. How could I walk away? Our trip was over, and I knew deep down inside that things never could or would be the same again. After every mission, after an experience of living in a place, if you have really lived in a place, you will never be the same again. I just feel that you'll be all the better for it. Because sometimes people come back and say, whatever they read out there, we don't do anything. Now, I have a practical exercise, which I always think is very good to personalize this thing. And I would insist, do you have questions or things to share with it? So that this can be. Yes, madam.
I don't know if you can expatiate more on the fact that it's difficult for men to express their feelings. I think that's another.
Yeah, I didn't say it is scientific. It is scientific. Psychology says that women, from the way we are made emotionally, it's like we are more expressive of our emotions and feelings. So we can, we have different ways of expressing it. Either by sharing, talking, we talk a lot with one another. We can cry easily, which is another way of expressing emotion. We laugh, we kind of are more, even when we are quiet, we are more in touch with what is going on. Whereas men, because of the way they are made, coupled with the culture that a man must be strong. And I tell you, not just African men, men all over the world. And macho macho has its origin in Latin, means man. Somebody's beauty, but the inner strength. So it's like, if you show a sign of weakness, you are less a man. That is the misconception. And most of the time, feelings, when we are dealing with conflicts, you will see the words that identify feelings, they are usually identified with weakness and not necessarily. Because anger is not weakness, it's a lot of energy. But because we have not been able to express or channel them properly, it becomes a weakness. So the words that identify feelings are culturally tagged weakness. And that is why men kind of avoid them. Do you understand? So it's both culturally and scientifically proven. But they need more help. Like, I remember even working in the basic Christian community for the Bible study group. Terribly easy to conduct the Bible study group with the women. And with the men, really to get them, we used to say, okay, we have a roof in the church, we want to change the roof of somebody's house, the floor is broken, we want to make a gutter. We get men and we use style to talk of other things. But if you really gather men that you want to talk about family life, you won't catch them. At least where I work. Or you want to talk about, it's just that they just feel it's wasting of time. Now speak for yourself, men. How do you feel about it?
No comments.
No.
The diagnosis that you already pointed out, women are more at home with feelings and emotions, where men are all rational. Like now, you can talk of Bible studies now. A woman, once he just come down and say something that Jesus is going to come, without reflection, they are there. But when it comes about men, they will ask you, how is he going to come? Is he a white man or a black man? Once you just mentioned Jesus, they are so they just emotionally they are charged always. But men will subject this to this rationality and try to see why, how, when, and how it is going to be done. But women don't take time for that. Just go to their emotion. Even in the church, it's very simple. When you are talking to the women in the church, you address, you go to the emotion, and you get them. But when you go to the head, they are left. Forget about it. Forget about your studies and your background. Because with your studies now, if I want to talk to you, I want to address you now, I go up. And all of us go on with rationality. But when you want to women and begin to believe logic and all those things, I think this one is serious.
Reaction.
So
I'm not the only man. So if some other women want to react or some other men want to react, it's huge.
Why I ask the question is because we use a universal affirmative. You see, men are differently made. There are men who cry more than women. You know that. There are men who are really emotional. Depends on the background. There are some men who are hard. So that is why I've seen men who cry a lot. Any small thing, they go their wife offended, they start crying.
Yeah. But I still think that those are exceptions to the rule. Let's face it, those are exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying they don't exist. Just as we get, exception in every, but that's not the general understanding.
I think that what Sister says is very easy to illustrate. If somebody dies now, and men are there, women are there, who will cry? It's the women who will cry. And even some prophets say that man's cry is only if you see a man cry, what is wrong with that man? And he was, he must bear it, and the thing will be heavy in his mind, but he will bear it. So I think it's a normal thing that women react more with the feelings, but we try to swallow it and keep it up and go. The feeling we react more than women is scolding and anger. When a man is angry, then he can do and scold, and because it shows some strength. This is that's how we are. Of course, we are redeemed, so we can moderate them. But generally, this is our strength. We don't get it.
Thank you. Yes.
In Irish culture, and my age group, I'm in my 50s, but my brothers, my father would be saying to them, boys don't cry.
Yeah.
So when something would happen, a boy was not allowed to cry, but I was allowed to cry.
Yes.
But now, at my age group, rearing their children, that is gone. Boys are allowed to cry and are much more liberated and are much more together as people. And they say that now as they're growing up. I can't cry at anybody that. Nobody laughs at them. They can cry when they're upset. They can, and nobody laughs because they're being human and they're being all rounded. They're being a full human being and allowed to be.
Yeah.
Which is it's a great freedom.
Yeah. Like we can really become more whole by taking, the rationality and the feelings together, not one as, isolating the other. Maybe we say the others and we continue this discussion because I think it's nice. Who will lead us in the Regina Shelley? Let somebody.
The sister that
Who will lead us? In fact, we smuggled it in, it wasn't in the original plan. But I felt that this is something we must be aware of as we journey on. And there's a lot of reference to be made to this.
It's not a question really, but I was just admiring you when you were talking about adaptation. And even if I spend 20 years in Argentina, I can't see myself drinking from the same water.
You will. If my Irish sisters there too, and Patricia McConaughey, maybe you know her, and they all drink this precious pot. And every one of us. And it depends on where you are working, because it sounds worse than it is in the actual fact. You know, always, that's one of the things I always tell people, you know, when we relate our missionary experience. When you are within it, everybody is doing it. In fact, it looks so natural. It's like, I don't know, a friend of mine said something, not a very pleasant one, but it's the truth. You know, she's in America, she said that each time she's talking, people say, stop getting angry. She said, I'm not getting angry. But it's true, in Nigeria, all of us shout at what I know. It's the truth. And until you step out of it, then you realize that, oh God, you shout. You know, and it looks normal to us. Honestly, it's the truth, but it's not as if, you know, and then when she was out there, you know, it sounds really horrible that she said that she has to and it's not as mellow that be like others. So in fact, one of the things I put in my notes is that when you are looking at others that they are strange, they're also looking at you that you are strange. And obviously you are a strange one because you are the worst everything to the more popular territory. You know, so it looks worse when it's looked at from afar. When you are living inside it, I'm sure there are many things they are doing, they can't believe they are actually doing it now.
I'm just smiling at your comment on Nigerians shouting at each other, because when I went to get my visa, first of all I'd say the Nigerians in the Nigerian embassy in Dublin were so courteous. The officials there, I must say, they were very courteous. But when I was going to the visa office myself, I was very, very nervous. But the officials treated me very well. But one of the days when I went back to collect my visa, and there had been a little bit of dispute with the Nigerian man who was looking after the waiting room. One of the people, were about 6 Nigerian people with children, and they were waiting, and they had our tickets and they were waiting. So somebody took 2 tickets, and they should have taken 1 ticket, so there was a big dispute on it. So I came in and I sat quietly at the bottom of the room, and then all of a sudden, all these people began to shout at each other. And for a few minutes, I actually thought they were fighting with each other, but they weren't. They were just and then when it came to getting my documentation, one of the gentlemen inside came to the door and he called me in because I was just going back to collect something. So it looked to the other people as if I was jumping the queue, but I wasn't jumping the queue. I was just going to collect the things. So when I came out, I was kind of a bit fearful, and they were all there, and I was really very sorry for going in, but I was just collecting it. Oh, not at all, we were just talking to each other. But to me, looking on, I thought they were fighting with each other.
No, it is a fact.
What happened was, like, 2 people were chatting about this issue. Then there was a little woman over in the corner. She all of a sudden, she jumped in and she began to shout. Another man, all of a sudden, everybody was on the floor. It was just ordinary conversation. Yeah, but for me as an outsider, it was that point in time looking in.
Thank you, sister, for that
Just
contribution.
a question. Like, as we're talking about transition, what of the case of rejection and racism? How do we handle it? I give a just simple instance. 2 of our priests went to somewhere, one of the civilized war, and they were never permitted to celebrate public masses by their own conference. What from that side? That they are, like, because of their color, you see them as being inferior. And out of frustration, along the line, both of them disengaged from the congregation and joined us in the dispensary.
Yes, it is a big issue because, and when we are dealing with what Nigerians, see abroad, it's going to become a very prominent topic. Thank you for bringing it up. You see, we cannot do anything about prejudices. We cannot. It's something that is powerful. The only thing we could do is who you are at this point in time. And sometimes the only power we have is to act in favor of that prejudice or help that person to realize that it was just an empty prejudice. Unfortunately, when we meet prejudices, it arouses so much anger in us that without our knowing it, we are actually confirming the prejudice. You understand what I'm trying to say? One of the things I said to myself is that a mission cannot be without a cross. A mission is not possible without some cross. Maybe for my early sisters who came to Nigeria in 1800 was just yellow fever, malaria, and they were dying like this. Maybe for you now, it is leaving all the comforts of the newfound luxurious Ireland, leaving them and coming to. You understand what I mean? There is a cross. And we are a first generation missionary, whether we like it or not, as Nigerians. Because this is our first time of our generation. Even though there are many who have gone before us, but they are still our generation. And so we are laying a foundation. Now, I can convince people that we are aggressive, we are savages, we are this, or that we are rude, or that we like money. I have that power to change that for me. And the only thing I tell myself is that may everybody who come in contact with me be cured of their prejudice. That's all I say. It's a prayer, and it has happened. It has happened, and I thank God I have been able to live it in 2 continents. In Latin America, where the prejudice is even worse, because the only thing they knew about black people is slavery. That was the only knowledge they had of black people. And I tell you, slavery is only one chapter in our history book. So I knew far less than them about it. And that was my confrontation of my identity. Because as soon as you hear of slavery, in fact, you are in a class. I used to go around to give mission animation in school. And I tell them, brainstorming about Africa, please feel free, tell me anything you want, don't worry that it will hurt me. I give them 20 words. At least 18 will be negative. I'm telling you. And I had to work on that transformation for myself and for the continent I love. That was my mission. It's a personal decision. Now I could get angry and turn the table and tell them all the trash words of their own negative things and get out of it. But that wouldn't have been my mission. I had to make a choice. That's one. In England, people I had the privilege of not just studying, of working. And the setting where I worked, I was the only non-British person. Because they were preparing British volunteers going with the French congregations overseas on mission. So I was the administrative personnel and training personnel, and I knew that immediately I was going for the interview. They saw a Nigerian sister on the list. They were afraid. They were afraid. I needed the money. I would be desperate to get as much money out of them or what. And I tell you, I had over 1 hour of interview. And I just said, it is your chance to work against prejudices. That there could be a Nigerian who will speak English and will understand, even though I still own up to my accent, my identity. There could be a Nigerian who will not want to scrabble money with you and fight over it to get the best out of it. There will be a Nigerian who loves mission and wants to work for mission. And if you believe that Nigerian, your mission is accomplished. I cannot do anything about another person's prejudice. I can't. I can't take responsibility over that. So, it is part of why this is very important. And it is not only when you go to Europe, when you go to Ghana, when you go to Rwanda, Nigerians, you see, when you are big, you make big name for yourself. You have. And we have to. Raise ourselves to see we have a mission at hand. And that's the mission. For me, it has never been an issue for me, racism, prejudices, because I just tell myself it's not what I want to take responsibility for, but I can tell you who I am and what the mission is for. And that person will change it. That prejudice will become empty. And there's nothing to hold on to. We will deal more with it when we are dealing with tomorrow with the Nigerians going on mission. Thank you.
I just want to reinforce what Sister has said. We don't even need to go to those places to see prejudice. We see them here in Nigeria. I know of the diocese at a time when, for instance, any priest coming from the east is not allowed to say the public mass in Nigeria. And some of you may have known that. Don't you know it? It has been solved by people doing exactly what she has said. When they see 1, 2, 3 doing the thing right, then the whole thing is over. So prejudices, unfortunately, are there and they are living with us. But we cannot bow to them. We must face them, and the only way to face them is to convince the person that that thing is talking about is not true. You cannot legislate against it. Nothing but good character and the real thing. That is the only thing. In Austria, one boy came, many of, not just one, but many of them, they will see at that time there were not many black people in those days. I think Aaron and myself were the only people, many of them ever saw in their life. And they will come and be looking at him like this. They will have the courage to touch you and look at their finger. I said, the thing is not washing off. They will tell you that. Because that's kind of house. Then they will say black man, and I will say white man. And then we will laugh. And then we go. And one of them told the mother that he wants to be a black man. And the mother asked why. He said, so that I wouldn't need to wash myself. Because the mother will say, you are getting, you are black, go and wash. So if he becomes a black man, he doesn't need to take bath anymore. So she believes. Some people get angry about that type of thing. Why do you get angry about that? And they will ask you whether you have, many funny questions to ask you. Those days. Now it is not so much because I've seen many black people.
We have the same, I have the same experience.
Exactly. I was
I
going to
walk
say
down
that.
the street, and every time I walk down the street, I look back and literally say,
Oyibo.
children, and adults will say white person.
Yes.
White person.
White person.
So I feel like saying black person. But it is annoying every time you walk out that you're being called. So now I began to say, my name is Melina.
Very good.
You know, that's probably.
Even in the seminary where we were at that time, some of the seminarians, because generally the Europeans don't take bath as much as we do. Their climate is not so hot, so they don't need to take bath 2 or 3 times a day. But we are used to every time go to shower, take bath, come out. And some seminarians were saying, these 2 black people are taking bath so often so that they will become white. You laugh about such things. It's a simple thing. So let it not distract anybody. There are actually reducing. What of it is reducing, the prices are reducing, but it can be terrible.
Yeah, and it could be annoying, it could be upsetting. It could be upsetting. It's good to recognize that. It is upsetting. But that's why what we did this morning, it's very important that you work more on it, on your own. That inner space that really is yours, and it it's not defined by what is out, and you end up really laughing, about them and not really, letting it upset the whole mission of what you have at hand. Because in the long run, you are more than that. You are more than the color, you are more than what you do, you are more than the whole. The nation has a lot in you. So it's not just the mistakes you make, and some of us make too, but you are not enough. So there are lots of jokes about that. Actually, what I'm planning for that is that I will play some scenario for you to deal with yourself. And that's a very good one for me too. Because you have to learn to develop your own solutions to some of those problems. As I told you, we are first generation missionaries, and it's good for us to have something to hand over to others. Any other question? These interactions are very important. We have unanimously agreed that we will meet at 3:30. Is that okay? Is that better? It's fairer, isn't it? Surely we eat at 1, and if we are, and since we are not washing things, that means that we are liberated by 1:30. And that's the fair time, 1.5 hours of rest. And I think for those who want to check mails, because I think there are only about 2 or 3 machines there. So I will talk to them and see how they can do it. You cross-check yourself if it's free and you need to do that. Here, I always like to have exercise. I will review this and tell you about the exercise. You know my favorite name in Argentina? Negra. Negra. Black. And it's my pet name. I love it. Exactly. Everybody says, and I will take that as a negative thing, because when you hear Negro, it's like Negro is it. But no, it's a pet name, and I let's take it as a pet name. And when they say, and you see, those who are in dark skin, I say, you are not real dark. Death is beautiful black, and then they start laughing, and it's finished. A sense of humor is a great stuff. I forgot to put that on it. A good sense of humor. It's a very good. Okay. At the back page, you have. At the back page, I put a reflection in the space of transition, which I pray you will have time to do during these 2 weeks or sometimes before you go. It's something that needs some time. But I just put it there together for you. That's on page 4. At the very back page.
Some of them,
okay, they have one. That's not page 4. Is there any other person with that one? It says a reflection in the space of transition. I just put 5 steps there, putting together different elements that sometimes it's good to step back and take a deep breath and do something for yourself. Apart from looking for the visa, the appropriate clothes, and all those external things, and do some internal interior transition. Thank you. So I leave you free until 1 o'clock when you have